The NFL playoffs are finally back today. I'm going through my full picks and predictions for the 2025 NFL playoffs. Should be a very exciting bracket here. A lot of good teams on both sides. I could see a number of teams hosting that Lombardi Trophy down in the Bayou. But let's not waste any more time. Let's hop right into my picks for the 2024 NFL playoffs. First game, we're going to look at the Vikings visiting the Los Angeles Rams. Vikings on the verge of the 1 seed. Instead, they find themselves on the road heading to Los Angeles to play Matthew Stafford and this Rams team, which may be the hottest team in the NFL. Going into last week, since they got Puka Nacua back from injury, I think they were 8-2 in their last 10 games. They'd lose in the final week of the regular season, benching most of their starters. But man, to go 14-3 and your prize is Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford looking as good as they maybe ever have. This is a tough matchup for the Vikings. They played on Thursday Night Football a number of weeks ago. Rams actually got the best of the Vikings, one of their 3 losses on the year. Final score was 30-20. And this number for the Vikings, they were 2.5-point favorites. The number is creeping closer to a pick'em. So Vegas thinks this is going to be a very close contest. I do as well, but I think McVay and Stafford, I think they get the best of the Vikings yet again. We saw it early in the season. I think while Sam Darnold has played exceptionally well this season, I think the advantage has to go to Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford. They need to get Cooper Kupp more involved. He's been a little bit quiet since Nacua returned. But in Los Angeles, coming off a brutal Week 18 finish against the Lions where the Vikings lost their number 1 seed potential, I think that one's going to be tough to bounce back from. I will take the Rams as slight underdogs in this game, sending them to the next round. Our second matchup is another regular season rematch. Buccaneers hosting the Washington Commanders, getting in as a wildcard team under rookie sensation Jaden Daniels. Vegas Sportsbook have the Buccaneers as 3-point favorites in this game, even though in their week 1 matchup, I believe the score was 37-20. So it should be a little bit closer than what we saw in week 1. Obviously, first start for a rookie quarterback, not going to go exceptionally well. But Daniels showed incredible progression throughout the season. I do worry a little bit about this Commanders rushing defense. I think they can be exposed by the Buccaneers. They don't run the ball extremely well, but in Week 18 against the New Orleans Saints, we're getting you over 5 yards a carry. So Baker Mayfield's a tough guy to bet against. He's an easy guy to root for, loves the game, loves competing. Buccaneers at home, as much as I want to root for Jaden Daniels and put him in the second round of the playoffs, I think this playoff experienced team in the Buccaneers with Mike Evans, Vita Vea, Baker Mayfield, I think they're just too much at home. I think they get it done and move on to the second round as well. The Commanders have only beaten one playoff team all season long, and that was the Philadelphia Eagles, who lost Jalen Hurts to a concussion. So no, not very many impressive wins on the schedule for the Commanders. I expect that to show in this matchup against the Buccaneers. Our third rematch in this wild card on the NFC side, we have Green Bay traveling to Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is just the better team. Green Bay losing to Chicago in the last week of the regular season. Christian Watson out for the season now. That's another blow. They are deep at wide receiver for a Philadelphia team who expects to get Jalen Hurts back after a couple of weeks off. Resting most of their starters this past week, coming in a little fresh. I think at home it's going to be a lot to move this Philadelphia team. With the rushing leader, Saquon Barkley, he's been so impressive. They're just going to dominate in the trenches. Green Bay does do a good job of defending the run, but I think it's just too much with Hurts and Saquon fully healthy off some rest. I think Philadelphia wins this matchup. I don't know if I'd swallow the 4 points they're favored by, given Hurts could look a little rusty with multiple weeks out of action, but I think they will get it done in the end. Jumping over to the AFC, first game, maybe the hardest game for me to put an opinion on. Chargers traveling to Houston, division winners in the AFC South. AFC South right down there with the NFC South as the 2 worst divisions in football. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they have, under Harbaugh, I think they're a little bit tougher. I do like the Texans team in general. 2 good pass rushers. Daniil Hunter's had an incredible season. Stingley is one of the best young cornerbacks in this league. But if they can keep them out of pass rush situations and rely on the run game, which the Chargers love to do, not let those edge rushers get going, I think missing Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell is just a lot to overcome for CJ Stroud, who hasn't looked as good as he did in his rookie season. I believe the Chargers are 2-point favorites. Even on the road, I will take the road favorite to win here and cover in Houston. We saw them get obliterated by the Baltimore Ravens a couple weeks ago. Similar styles, teams that want to pound you physically. Justin Herbert, not the athlete Lamar Jackson is, but he has been more mobile lately this season. So they're adequate on defense. And I think from what we've seen this year, Justin Herbert's an advantage over CJ Stroud in this matchup. Next, I want to talk about Ravens Steelers, one of the biggest spreads on the board in the wild card matchups. Ravens are favored by 10 points at home against the Steelers, who are limping into the playoffs, getting cold at the wrong time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 10 points is a crazy number. I mean, you see, they split this matchup during the regular season, Pittsburgh winning at home while the Ravens took care of their business on their home turf. 10 points is just way too much for a rivalry that always seems to come down to the last play, maybe a field goal, a 2-point conversion. I'm definitely taking the Steelers plus 10 to cover in this matchup, but I think the Ravens are the better team. They have the better quarterback. And at home, it's just way too much for me to predict the Steelers to win, given how they've played the last month of the regular season. So I'll take the Steelers to cover, but I do think Ravens get it done at home. Last game in the wild card, Denver Broncos traveling to Buffalo. Bo Nix, very impressive in their win in Week 18 against the Mahomes-less Kansas City Chiefs. Nonetheless, Nix has been one of the most impressive rookies all season long. I think this Denver Broncos team is a very bad matchup for Josh Allen and this Bills offense. Broncos top of the league in sacks. They're great at keeping the quarterback inside the pocket, not letting him get out and do damage, which is where Josh Allen is at his best. So I think this is maybe the worst draw the Bills could have gotten in round one. With all that being said, I still think going to Buffalo in that weather, they are built for that. I don't think Bo Nix in his playoff debut is going to be able to get that done. So I will take the advantage at quarterback. Even though I expect this one to be closer than what most people think, I'll take Denver plus 8.5, but I think Bills still win the game. Heading back to the NFC side, in the divisional round, Rams traveling to Ford Field, a rematch from last season in the playoffs. Matt Stafford coming back to Ford Field. Detroit Lions finally get a bye week. It's been basically 3 months since their last off week. This team is banged up heavily, but I think this week is good enough to get them somewhat right defensively. That's all it's going to come down to. We know this team can score like no other team in the NFL. Just going to come down to whether they can get some bodies healthy on the defensive side of the ball. I think while the Rams are super hot as of late, I think this Lions team is just too good under Dan Campbell at home to go out in the first round of their playoff season. I will take them to advance to the NFC Championship. Buccaneers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Rematch from early in the season when the Buccaneers beat the Eagles, but they were missing some key wide receivers in that matchup. Not only that, the Eagles did get bounced out of the playoffs by the Buccaneers last season. That was down in Tampa. This time, it's in Philadelphia. This team is too good. I think they overpower the Buccaneers, even with that strong run defense. I like Philadelphia to advance to face the Lions in the NFC Championship game. Going back to the AFC, Chiefs finally play a game. This AFC Championship game always seems to run through Kansas City, and I don't think it's any different this year. How can you predict the Kansas City Chiefs to get bounced this early in the playoffs? Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed, it's just too good, too early. I think they're going to win at least one game. I'll take them to beat the Chargers for the third time. Then our last game here, Baltimore versus Buffalo. This might be one of the better games of the entire playoff bracket. I think two MVP candidates, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, the two favorites. It's going to come down to these two. Baltimore would have to travel to Buffalo with the Bills at home. This game's going to come down to who turns the ball over. Baltimore, the best rushing defense in the entire league. They're going to make Josh Allen throw the football. While he has been better keeping the ball safe this season, we know he does have a tendency to throw the ball to the other team. A little bit too aggressive at times. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, very secure this season. A very good touchdown to interception ratio. While Josh Allen probably wins MVP this year, I think Lamar Jackson fixes his playoff problems and beats Josh Allen in Buffalo and advances to the AFC Championship game. What kind of championship round this would be? Eagles, Lions, Ravens, Chiefs. Let's stay in the AFC. Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs. We saw it in week one, first game of the regular season. We're going to see it again in the playoffs. This time, I think the Ravens get it done. Isaiah Likely just one toe away from beating the Chiefs in week one. This time, I think he's going to get it done. This Chiefs team has skated by all season long, winning one possession game after one possession game. At some point, the luck has to run out. While, yes, it would be easy to just say the Chiefs have the best team, the best quarterback, they're going to win the Super Bowl yet again. I'm not ready to do that. Let's mix it up. Let's put Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Harbaugh, where they won the Super Bowl last time in New Orleans. I expect them to get back this time and be a participant down in the Big Easy yet again. At some point, the Chiefs have to be knocked off. Why not this year? On the NFC side, I think a great matchup here. Philadelphia versus Detroit. A high explosive offensive team in Detroit against a more balanced Eagles team, I would say. Eagles defensively are pretty solid on all three levels of the defense. Much improved from a season ago. I think that's the difference here. The Eagles have the perfect recipe to win on the road in the playoffs. They have a great run attack led by Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, and that defense can keep them in any games while having the playmakers in A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith on the outside to keep up with any high-octane offense. I'm taking the Eagles to get the upset in Detroit and make it an all-bird Super Bowl. Eagles, Ravens. What kind of matchup this would be? Two elite quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, facing off in a win-or-go-home situation. While the Ravens do have a great rushing defense, they can give up some yards through the air. We saw a number of teams eviscerate them in the passing attack. While Jalen Hurts has struggled a bit this year throwing the football, he's going to have to do it to win this game. I think A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, these guys are healthy at this point in the season. I think they're enough to get it done for the Eagles, led by Jalen Hurts and that defense especially. They need to control Derrick Henry and Lamar on the ground. With Zay Flowers banged up in this playoffs, we're expecting him to play, but maybe not at 100%. I think the Eagles have built a juggernaut team this year, and I would be very surprised if they don't end up in the Super Bowl, at least with the talent they have on that team. That's my pick for the Super Bowl. I have the Eagles winning it all. Let me know what y'all think. Who did I get wrong on this playoff bracket? Obviously, everyone's going to have their own opinions. Let me know what y'all think. Who y'all have winning the Super Bowl? Leave it in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time with another episode of the Fantasy Birds.